All right. My name is Rick Watson. I am the new OPSIG president. This will be my first meeting as the president. So I put together a deck of slides. I'd like to keep the meeting down to an hour. We'll see. As I built out the slides, my eyes started to roll because I wasn't feeling too good about the time. So our agenda would do introductions, the president's report, Bill Jewett Award, treasurer's report, editor's report, webmaster's report, membership report. Election results, look at the upcoming elections. Bruce will give us SurfLiner 2024 convention update. And then we'd like to do a section where we have membership feedback, and then obviously open up for any questions at the end. So again, I'm Rick Watson, the president. We did our officer election in June. Paul Weiss, who's on, is vice president. Jeff Ryman remains our secretary. Eric Smith is on the board and his term expires next year, but he's told me he's not going anywhere. So we'll still have a webmaster and still have an editor. And then Tony Thompson joins with his first term. Officers and staff, John Swanson, our treasurer, he'll be reporting out a little bit. Eric, as I mentioned, the editor, Phil Monad, our donation coordinator, Peter Kerr, our election coordinator, Jeff Youst, our membership manager, and then Al Frasch, our back issue manager. Al has a storage of back issues in his, I believe it's in his garage. But I had some dialogue with Al, and he was saying that now that we've put back issues online, he has very little business for the back issues. All right, so president report. First, I want to thank Bruce Morton for his job as president. Bruce has given me some good guidance and some good help. I think he did a great job leading us for the last year that I was on the board. And so I want to officially thank him. So I have some things to do now as president, bank signatures. We make sure that all of our accounts are dual signature. So we're going through some hoops right now, getting the signatures changed for me as a second signer, but that is in progress. We also have coming up an annual filing with the state of Connecticut. That's where we are incorporated. And so I want to call a special thank you to Mark Herrick, who lives in Connecticut, because we have to have an agent in Connecticut as part of that filing process. So thanks to Mark for that. And then I'm looking at some goals that I have as we go forward. I want to increase the value of the OPSIG to our members. How do we grow our membership? I'd like to try to do that, and then grow the ops community in general. And one thing that we've done here in Arizona, I approached our division superintendent about getting an ops committee going. How do we get more layouts into the fold for ops? But not just that, what do we do as a mechanism to get more operators? So I know in Arizona, we have a number of layouts that are off the grid, if you will. And we'd like to try to pull those in. So I actually did a presentation last month at our division meet on that whole process and how do we pull people in, which was very well received. So as a suggestion in the areas that don't have a good mechanism, perhaps forming an ops committee, or in the NMRA division, making a contact for those folks available. So I also took some time and looked at our membership. Thanks to Eric for providing me that data. As you can see, this is a quarterly breakdown since we converted systems in 2020. And our membership has ebbed and flowed, but we seem to be maintaining anywhere between 1,350 and 1,400 as a general rule. I have no perspective as to whether that's good, bad, or indifferent, but I do see some consistency there, so that's a good thing. Also, I decided to do a breakdown of what our membership types are. So you can see we have 69% electronic memberships and 31% are still getting print. One thing to note for the membership is print costs do continue to go up. We're trying to be reasonable on what the dues are, or the annual dues are. But as our print volume goes down, or the number of subscribers receiving print, the cost actually goes up. And I saw this with the Southern Pacific Historical and Technical Society, as well as our NMRA division. So please keep that in mind. If you want paper, great, but you may see the costs go up over time as the number of people consuming the paper version goes down. So up next is the Bill Jewett Award. So when the board met in June, we identified the person that we wanted to uh, receive the Bill Jewett Award. And so just a little bit, I actually put this in because it helped give me a little bit more context. Bill Jewett was a long-time OPSIG member and avid operator. He revived the OPSIG in 1997, ran it for almost 10 years. And so was very influential. He was quote unquote Mr. OPSIG for so many years. He passed away unexpectedly in 2006. His train collection was sold, and the proceeds were used to start the Bill Jewett Memorial Fund, which supports the award. So there is an honorarium that goes along with the award, but that comes from the Bill Jewett Fund, not from the general fund. And again, the award is given annually to those folks that contribute to the operations special interest groups and promoting operations. And again, get a commemorative plaque and that check for $250. And let's see. And just as a note, the nominated individual must be an OPSIG member, and all current board members are not eligible. So this is not a pass the love contest amongst the board. So our winner for this year, the 16th annual Bill Jewett Award, is David Parks. Congratulations, David. And David's online. I know Paul wanted to say a few words, so I'll introduce Paul Weiss, our Vice President. You're muted, Paul.
There we are. Thank you. I'm overjoyed to say a couple of words about David Parks. I'm used to speaking behind his back, so this is a little bit unusual that he has a chance to hear my remarks. Anyone who is in the Bay Area knows David and knows about the fantastic layout he built and the degree of gravitas he brought to the operating community. Furthermore, he, as the owner and developer of the fantastic layout, has hosted so very many operators who have come to the Bay Area for operating events over the years. David, which many people may not know who came to visit, has been host coordinator for almost every event of substance that we've had here, coordinating all the layout owners and all of the related special events, a huge job. I didn't fully appreciate the scale of David's impact until recently, in the last few years, as David sought to find someone who would take over his duties. I, in a very silly moment, volunteered and had the opportunity to speak to David at length about what was involved and what he had done for all of these events for so many years. And the more I talked to him, the more I realized that I was completely over my head. And among other things, he said to me quite earnestly and very seriously, you know, Paul, you're going to have to visit all of these layouts and make sure they're up to snuff before we let anyone come. And I'm like, yeah, David, that's fine, but we know each other. We know these layouts. We know which ones are good. Why don't we just, he's like, no, you're going to have to visit all these layouts to make sure that they're still of exceptional quality. We can't have them included in the events. And that level of commitment and seriousness just blew me away. And it also didn't hurt anything that David's just a terrific guy. And we're overjoyed to have him in the group, in our community in the Bay Area, and this year's winner. David, I'd love it if you said a couple of words if you're up to it and in the mood. Anything that you want to add?
Well, yeah, the layout's having to be disassembled soon. And I realized when they were trying to put me in a hospice place, I needed to be where my op buddies, all my friends from earlier life are all dead and gone. And my buddies now are all train buddies. So how important that was to me, that the people I would depend on would be the very people I operate with. You know, it's a social event. It's really brought it home that operating is a social situation and a lot of fun. Everybody really misses. COVID kind of knocked us on our can, and that's for everybody, you know, and that's too bad. But thank you. I'm honored. But there's not a nicer group of people I'd rather be close to than the operating people, and it's brought a lot of other people from the community who never weren't really into model trains, but got into operations as kind of a whole nother sport. So thank you. I'm honored. I don't deserve it, but so what? Thank you.
Congratulations, David. Thank you for all of your contributions. I know I've operated on your layout multiple times for the Bay Rails events and just always had a great time. So thank you. All right. With that, we will go ahead and move on to our treasurer's report. So John, you're on the line, I believe.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So got a couple slides from John about our financial status. So John, I'll let you run with that.
Yes, briefly, we our balance sheet would, as you may be able to see, we're in good shape financially. And then our profit and loss, it shows a little under $400 loss for the last fiscal year. It's probably probably not that bad in that because of the transition from the previous treasurer, some of the income from interest was not captured, and it was not available to me. So that number is probably larger than it really is, but in any event, we're in great shape.
Thank you. And thank you, John, for the work of taking over treasurer. I know the transition's been, we'll call it challenging, but you've stuck with it and done a great job. So I really appreciate the effort that you put into it.
You're welcome.
Okay. So editor's report, Eric.
All right, I have a list here. First of all, I want to thank everybody who has submitted articles over the past year. The only way the magazine gets put out is people contribute content. I don't write it all. Nobody wants to hear from me. They want to hear from each other. They want to hear from each of you. So we do have some revised submission guidelines up on the opsig.org website, specifically in regards to photos and just some minor things. We do try not to do too much editing of the content. We want to hear the article in your voice. However, there are a lot of things that you can do if you're writing an article to make my life easier as I do the editing and then hand it off to our publisher. Let's say in the past year, we did 4 issues on time, actually early. We try to get them mailed out roughly a month, 3 weeks to 4 weeks ahead of the issue date. The electronic version has come out the 15th of the month prior, and we have hit that every single month or every single quarter this year. I do want to praise our publishing company, Kevin Yaney of Yaney Marketing here in near where I live. He's done an outstanding job with the layout of the publication. I think it looks clean, professional, and while we can't control print prices, he has done a fantastic job with that. So Rick alluded to the back issue cleanup. If you look at your current issue, the back issue form has changed a bit. We are doing a purge. Our back issue coordinator I didn't realize how far back he had issues in paper, but it's time to get rid of those. We will no longer be keeping those. We do print some extras every quarter simply because things get mangled in transit. But we're going to cut that way back to save the organization a little bit of money and to save him some storage space. So basically, if you want some really, really old print copies, like back into the 90s, now's the time to get them. Otherwise, they're going in the recycle bin. As always, I'm always looking for more articles for the hopper. I've had a few people ask, well, when do I need to get it to you? It's like, well, that's a kind of a loaded question, because just because you get it to me today doesn't mean it's going to make the next issue. There are lots of things that go into selecting the articles, the size of the articles, how many photos, how much text. And so we may pick and choose to lay out and fit the 40 pages. But in general, we start assembling the issue about 2 months prior to press date. So October 1st, I've got another couple of weeks before I have to start getting that one ready. And then we try to go to print by the, like for this next issue, it'll be basically the first of, hold on, let's say October 1st. So we'll go to print 1st of September to get it mailed and get it out on time. So that always comes up. I do want to pass a, I don't think any of them are here, but part of the reason that financial statement looks the way it does is because some of our printing costs are defrayed by our advertisers. I want to throw a huge thanks to Rapido Trains. They are our back cover, one of our premier advertisers. I mean, their stuff is great, but the other reason to buy from them is they are they've been sponsoring as an advertiser for at least 2 years, maybe 3 now. There are also a number of other advertisers in the magazine. I'm just pulling up my little list here because I don't remember them all off the top of my head. NCE is a long-time advertiser, Walters Trains, White River Publications, the White River Publications bookstore is listed in there. We have SB, or the Streamline Back Shop. And did I get everybody? I think so. Sorry, I'm just looking, getting down to the last page here. Seth Newman, if he's on, Model Railroad Control Systems is also one of our advertisers. They have a really interesting list of products. And like I said, Rapido is our back cover advertiser. So we appreciate them helping to produce our product at a slightly lower cost to our members. And let's see, I'll just roll right into the Webmaster report because I do that too. Couple of things on the website. We do have both the website, well, not both, but we have our website for the public. We have the members only section of the website. And then we also have social media presence on Facebook and YouTube. At the moment, our Facebook page has over 3,500 likes, meaning people will get content we push up there, as well as 3,900 followers. Followers and likes are slightly different in terms of how they prioritize, but that's basically almost 3 times, more than 2.5 times our membership. Our YouTube channel has just over 1,400 subscribers. And in the past year, for all of the videos that we've put up, we've had a total of 3,183 watching hours in the past year. So that's a lot of people watching those videos. The one from, I wanted to thank Tony Custer for presenting in our last virtual meetup. His now has the record of over 3,000, let's see, where is he? 3,236 views. So he broke the record, but big shocker there. He's a legend. So we continue to do the virtual meetups twice a month. We have a presenter. The first would be the second. Generally, it's the second Sunday of the month. And then we have an open forum the 4th Sunday of the month, assuming there's no conflicts. I'm always looking for people to present. These do count. If you're going for the achievement programs, I would be more than happy to sign or virtually sign your sheet. You are talking to we're considered a regional publication, so that 2-point per page level. So if you write articles or present here, all of that counts towards your achievement for, I think it'd be author or maybe volunteer. I don't remember, but
It goes to author.
yeah. Okay. Well, to author then. let's see, the other thing that we're doing, for those of you who use JMRI, there is a piece of software in there called CATS. We are hosting the videos that they put up. They have a monthly get together. We are basically sharing our Zoom account with them. We're scheduling their meetings and then they're coming in. We're posting the videos up for some, because a lot of people in ops use JMRI. It seemed to make a good sense. A couple other numbers that might be of interest. In 2024, we had 107 new people sign up on the OPSIG site. Last year, total was 246. Again, that kind of plays into the membership. But what was interesting is the new member referral sources. There were a number of people who heard about OPSIG through the two big podcasts, Modeler's Life and The Crossing Gate. Thomas Gazier, I saw you're on here earlier. Thanks for having me on. We also got a number of people off the YouTube channel. Got a fair number off the NMRA site or NMRA events. But the other one that was big was word of mouth. Is you guys, all of you are our best marketing channel. Tell people what you're doing. Tell people the resources you get. The fact that you've got access to our whole back catalog, the videos, the meetups, the quarterly magazine. You're the best way to help recruit more people. I would love to, with what Rick said, I'd love to be able to say, hey, we are considered a national organization with over 2,000 people. And so we'd get bumped into that 3-point per page level within NMRA. A couple last things, and then I'll be done. I'm always looking for help. There are some jobs that I'd be more than happy to hand off. One of the things I'd like to do is, without becoming the model railroader of the late 80s, where the entire thing was advertising, we do have a little bit more room for a few more advertisers. If there's somebody interested in working with me to manage those advertisers, make sure we get paid, that would be a job I'd be happy to share. On the social media side, I try to share a lot of stuff up on the Facebook page. But if that, sorry. Sorry about that. That would be something I'd be happy to get some additional help with. The last thing that we have talked about in the past is actually marketing the OPSIG to new members. Talking to the various NMRA publications, possibly doing some advertising. We put together some ads back a few years ago to try to get more people in the door to, spread the word of how much fun operations is. So if you have any interest in that, writing an article, presenting at the virtual meetup, contact editor@opsig.org. That's it for me.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Is Jeff Youst with us? I didn't see him online, but may have joined.
No, it doesn't look like he is.
Okay. Then my membership report will be the two graphs that I had earlier. Is Peter Kerr with us?
Yes, I am.
Peter, great.
As such, I'm here.
So our election results and upcoming elections. Can you give us an
Well,
update?
we had a total of 460 voters. By the way, I'd like to thank Eric Smith for his handling of the electronic voting. Very much appreciated. The winner by a long shot was Mr. Thompson with 229 votes. So he gets to fill the one seat that was available this year. Now, next year we have 2 seats available, I believe. And we'll need candidates. So anybody who wants to volunteer, please contact me. Well, love to put your name on the ballot. Other than that, there isn't much more for me to say, except you have to congratulate Mr. Thompson.
Well, congratulations, Tony, and thank you, Peter, for your work on that. Again, to emphasize Peter's point, we do need candidates. Eric is termed out, so he won't be running or isn't able to run again, and I'm going to hold Paul's arm behind his back to make him run for a second term. So hopefully I'll be able to work that out because I need a succession plan, Paul.
Yeah, just for everybody else's knowledge, Paul Weiss is currently finishing out Roger Sakara's term, who resigned, I believe it was last year, for personal reasons.
So, and then anyone else who's interested, feel free to contact me or any member of the board if you want to learn more about what we do. It's not a tough job, but it is helping to guide the OPSIG, and we are looking to make improvements as we evolve it over time. All right, thank you again, Peter. SurfLiner 2024 update. Bruce, I saw that you were on. I will go to your title slide and let you take it away.
So I'm going to rely on you, Rick, to move the slide deck when we need to.
You betcha.
Most of this information is at the convention webpage. So if you just go to surfliner.org, surfliner2024.org, you should get there, and it's pretty self-explanatory. As we go through the slides, I've basically just taken some screenshots so you can see where to go, and it should help. So it is August 4th through 10th, I think, or 11th. It's in Long Beach. And they have had some issues. I'll be honest with you. Last time we were in Long Beach in 1996, we had the big convention hall there, and this year we don't. So the National Train Show will be in the same hotel with the convention. It'll be considerably smaller, but it'll be right there. You don't have to go anywhere. Go ahead for the next slide. So we will have a SIG room. It's going to be in the ocean room on the first floor. I would love to have some more volunteers from the OPSIG to help staff the OPSIG table. Anybody who happens to be at the convention, if you want to help me out, you can either send me an email at that address or just drop by the table when you're at the convention. I'll probably be setting up Sunday, and I'll be in and out depending on whether I've got a clinic to give or if I'm off on a tour somewhere. But we could use a few more people on the table. We'll have compendiums there. We already talked about the back issues of the DO, and Alan is sending me a box or two. We're going to probably sell them at cut rate prices, and maybe reduce prices over the run of the convention. Heck, if we have anything left on Thursday or Friday, you might be able to pick up some for nothing. We're always open for new memberships, and any questions you have about operations, most of the people that are going to be there will help. If we have any remaining slots on the operating layouts, the signups will be there. And as normal, the carpool meeting location will be in the SIG room. All right, next slide. There are some other people in the SIG room besides the OPSIG. Layout design SIG will be there. The Women in Model Railroading SIG will be there. LCC is going to be setting up a small demonstration layout. The SP Society will be there also, and I think several others, but that's all they had at the moment when I contacted the convention folks. So the next talks about the operating sessions themselves. If you go to the site, the surfliner2024.org, and you go to the SIG, there's actually a SIG tab. There's a way to see where the slots are. I think Eric sent out a note broadcast to all of our members of how to sign up. There are not a lot of slots. As it turns out, Speed did a great job last year in Texas. I think there were 200 or 300 slots to fill. This time, I think there's only about 40 slots. And I talked to Al Dahman, who's on the phone. If he's got any comments, he can certainly make them, but they're limited spots and they're going fast. So this is the list of operating layouts. The blues are all Monday, the pink ones, peach ones are all on Tuesday, and the green ones are on Thursday. So you can see the times there, and some of them are quite close to the convention. Others are a little farther away. But basically that's there, and all this material is on the SurfLiner webpage. Did we lose it?
Are you done with what I was showing? I did have
Yeah.
a quick question for you, Bruce. This came
Sure.
up in an email. So just to make sure I'm passing along the correct information, in order to attend one of these, you have to be a paid convention attendee, but you do not have to be an OPSIG member. However, my understanding was OPSIG members maybe get priority over non-OPSIG. Can you clarify that? Because it's already come up once today.
So you have to be a registered convention attendee to attend the operating sessions. I believe that Al made an effort to get the information out to the OPSIG members first, but now that it's on the web page for the convention, any of the attendees, if they're looking around on the convention, can see the spot and sign up if they want to. And
Okay.
as always, we have them listed on the boards at the OPSIG table in the SIG room. And if there's still open slots, that anyone who's an attendee at the convention and walks into the SIG room can certainly sign up for one of the operating sessions.
Okay, that's good information in case it comes up again.
Yeah, we've had about
18,
roughly about 24 people apply so far in roughly 24 hours, and
Yep.
2 of them self-identified as non-OPSIG members, but the rest of them indicated that they were.
Yeah, looks like you got 40 slots total, so those are probably going to go quick. All right, thanks guys. I appreciate the info.
I don't really have anything to do with the clinics. I'm not on the convention committee, but they do list their clinics by type. And there's about 14 prototype railroad operations clinics, 9 layout operations clinics. That's out of it. And then there's additional 80 clinics that are going to be presented at the convention. If you just go to the web page, maybe the next slide. Maybe.
A little advance.
On the web page, there's a place where you can choose different topics. And if you click on clinics.
Sorry, mine's
Here,
locking up.
I'll steal the share again. I've got the site
Yeah,
up.
please do.
All right.
If you click on clinics, then there's a place that says clinics by category. You click on that, and right at the top, there's prototype railroad operations on that list on the far left. There you go. Thank you, Eric. So there's a list of those clinics. And if you take the slider, Eric, and slide it down a little bit, maybe that's prototype history. Keep going. One more. Layout design, and then layout operations. So there's about 9 clinics that are focusing on layout operations themselves. So they have some operations focused clinics at the convention. They also have some excursions that, where do you go? Let's do tours and prototype tours. So there's several museums, the Southern California Railway Museum and the Rail Giants and Travel Town all have prototype equipment. There is one, a couple of the Gemco yard is actually at an operating Union Pacific yard. And I believe that a former, or maybe current, is he still working? Person is going to help with the tour. So it should be a good tour. I've done the Gemco yard tour before. The Metro Rail Fleet Services, that's one of our local commuter rail kinds of things around the greater Los Angeles area, and it's their service facility. So that's basically it for the prototype. Trying to remember what else I had on the slides.
Eric, if you can unshare, I'll reshare my PowerPoint.
Go ahead.
That's basically it.
There's the dinner, Bruce.
Oh yes, thank you. There is a dinner. The SIG dinner is actually a shared dinner between the LD-SIG and the OPSIG. It's going to be at Famous Dave's, which is about a half a mile away from the hotel, down towards the ocean. Fairly easy walk. And it's $50. You sign up, and there are ways to sign up on the convention webpage. I think that's it. What's the last slide? Oh, that's the excursions. We already talked about that. So I'm done. If there are any questions about operating layouts, Al is on the call. If there's any other questions, you can ask now. And as I said before, I could really use some volunteers to help out on the OPSIG table in the SIG room.
Thanks, Bruce. Appreciate it. A good update. With a lot of content. Seems like a lot of good things that are going on at the convention as well. So we'll continue with the agenda. You can see the member feedback slide, correct? Eric, somebody.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's showing up.
Okay. So one of the things that we thought we would do is reach out to get your feedback as members. So what are some of the things, what ideas or needs do you have that the board can try out or try to address over the next 12 months? What ideas do you have to expand our base for operators? We talked a little bit about that, and recruiting new operators as we go forward. And then how can we help you? So this is a volunteer organization. We're all volunteering to participate, but we want to help. We want to grow the ops community. So from a membership perspective, what can we do to help? And we can open it up for that. You can also email the board directly at the OPSIG.
That address will not work. That's a private address. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Strike that. You can email me.
There you go.
Because I really want to fill up my inbox. You can email me at president@opsig.org with anything that you have. We can also, I don't know where we're at in the chat, Eric. If we have any questions there or feedback items, and then we'll just open this up to questions. You'll note on this slide, we do have what the website address, our Facebook page that Eric's done a great job with as well, YouTube, which we've talked about. Again, my email address, and then the dispatcher Eric's email for editor, membership subscriptions, and then we have the Webmaster is kind of the catch-all for anything else. So we can open it up for questions.
And if you have a question, you either type it in the chat or unmute yourself and ask. Go ahead.
I'll start. It seems a shame to take the back issues that we have and send them to recycling. Does anybody have ideas about what we can do with them in terms of libraries that will take them, hobby shops that will take them at no charge, other places that we can use to distribute the back issues?
At one point, we talked about giving away back issues in like a marketing pack, where if you were having an event and had a bunch of non-OPSIG people, we would send them to you. Some of these are really, really old, way beyond most libraries won't take anything more than about a year old in terms of magazines, if they'll take them at all. Some of the stuff is like I'm trying to find the list here. I mean, we're talking stuff that was like the old white and green layout, ops or DO. So way, way back. like I said, I didn't even know we had them that far back, but Al went through and inventoried everything. I know they're going to send some to the national convention and give them away as sort of a freebies. But yeah, libraries generally won't take stuff this old. I mean, people have tried that with Model Railroader and we don't want them. I mean, that comes up a lot. And as basically anything from about, yeah. So libraries are really not an option. Hobby shops, maybe, but I mean, I know I've tried back when we actually used to sell to the hobby shops back with it, when White River was doing the publications. The hobby shops really don't want to carry it either. They don't have anybody who's interested, unfortunately. So that's just personal.
Eric, have all of these been, are there full electronic versions of these? Have they been scanned, OCR'd? So this is just the remaining physical copies?
That's correct. Every issue is available in PDF format all the way back to the very first one. So these are just paper remaining. We're not going to lose anything. So.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Eric, Eric, who has these right now? Does Jeff Yost have these, or you, or?
No. Al Frash down in Arizona takes care of the back issues.
Oh, okay.
He's the one donating a fair amount of space to them.
Well, I had a thought. Some of us host large op sessions. I usually have 20, 23 people. If you want to send me a bunch, I can pay for the postage of it, and because I've got a lot of people, they'll look and they'll say, "Wow, look at that," and they'll see a copy of it there, and I'll encourage them to join. But I think anybody who hosts op sessions can probably just have a stack of them there and say, "Hey, take them." I don't know how well that would be received.
I'm sure we could work something out. If you go to page 39 of the current issue, Al Frash's email is in there. If you email him, copy me, we can come up with we can get you some of those issues, as I know you've got a big layout. So
Eric,
okay.
my understanding is, are these, sorry.
How about clubs?
Yeah, I was gonna say, are the back issues going to be brought to the convention, or just, is that what I heard from Bruce, or not, or just is that a subset?
Maybe a portion of the back issues, not the entire inventory. Al's sending
Probably
a couple boxes to Bruce.
Probably the most recent ones, maybe like the 2021. Based on this count, there's about 30, like the last few years worth are probably the ones they would take. But we've got stuff going back for years.
Well, if it's being transported to Southern California already, I would think the Santa Susana Club, which has a railroad library, would probably be willing to take some of those. And we do get visitors, and we try to encourage people to join. And of those who join, we try to make them operators. So being, as someone else I think started to suggest, if there were some that you could have as you hand out to someone, you get someone who's particularly interested. So at least for the ones that are being transported to Southern California, Bruce, if you have any left over after the conventioneers are done, I could pretty much guess the club would take some and try to make good use of them in terms of using it as a mechanism to get people interested in the hobby.
This is Doug.
That'd be great.
Some of the ideas that the Layout Design SIG has been thinking about is using them as raffles for events, making packages available to be raffled off. Another one is universities have model railroad clubs, and they might also be naturally interested, at least in a starter set. Sometimes train shows have some exhibitor there who can have a stack of the magazines, so those are just some of the the outlets for these. Also, historical societies, especially if they have an e-magazine, to try and get more of the railroad historical societies to be aware of the operations, especially if issues can be selected to relate to particular societies.
Those are some great ideas. So if you guys, if you have ideas, reach out to Al, as Eric said, copy Eric. There's a lot of good ideas here. We also have to get Al to distribute those. So realize that packaging them up is a burden on Al Frash's time too. He's been gracious enough to house them for God knows how long. So, but reach out. I think we can work out the costs. That's not, I don't think that's a big issue. It's really how much time Al can dedicate to it. We had talked about, hey, the issues aren't moving. The next option is the dumpster. So if folks have ideas, I think we threw out some really good ideas, especially hosts reaching out and getting some issues from Al too. So please reach out to Al. I think Eric he also put in the chat. It's on page 39. You can get Al's email address. I'll reach out to Al as well and give him a heads up too.
Yeah, I think at some point, this was just announced in the July issue. It might be something we see if maybe some of them move, we'll lose some of them we'll give away some of the convention, and then whatever's left, instead of going right to the dumpster, if you have a marketing opportunity, that would be the contact me and Al, and we can, Al Frash, whose email is in the article, and figure out a fair way to distribute them, because it looks like there's a fair number of people who have giveaway opportunities.
I think we had heard some good ideas, and as a tool to grow membership, I think giving away at ops sessions is a really good bridge, right? Get those folks that aren't members of the OPSIG an opportunity to see what the publication's like, and can we make them or convert them to become members. So, okay, other questions that folks might have, or comments, or help that we can provide? Or is everybody like me in this meeting's keeping me away from cocktail hour?
I would love to start a brief conversation about growth and recruitment, if I may, and then we can have a cocktail. How's that, Rick?
That works for me.
Okay, fine. One of the things I've experienced in my journey as the owner of a large operating layout is how interesting it has been to bring people in, perhaps using some unconventional methods. Quite a number of you have operated on our layout, Central Vermont layout in Novato, California. It's a TT&TO layout. It's relatively straightforward, but very prototypically faithful and complicated enough that operators experience and not pretend that they have a great time at the layout. I've also used that as an opportunity to do two things that I don't think everybody always does. One is we try very hard to change up the invited crew. A typical operating session at our layout is 25 people. It is, of course, beneficial to have some continuity, but we change up and actively look for people who have not operated on the layout before. And when I reach out widely to invite people, I will prioritize accepting people who are available and have not been to the layout before, first of all. But second of all, what I've done, and it's been very gratifying, is I've forced, I'd say 4 or 5 people to come operate. And force is a very almost perfect word. These are people who are active layout owners and modelers, do not want to operate, do not like operations, are intimidated by TT&TO in particular, and say, I don't want to come. And then I'm a pain in the ass, and I push, and eventually they come. Several of them reported to me that the week before the operating session, one guy was sick to his stomach all week. He was terrified. He didn't want to be the guy to hold up the layout, the whole thing. Now, the layout scheme is very much designed to be friendly to people who don't know. But the moral of the story, the end, as I'm sure you can probably anticipate, is all of these people that I've had to drag into the layout, by the end of the day, they said, oh my God, that was the greatest day I've ever had. I had no idea. No one told me, so forth and so on. So I've talked to a lot of people who are active operators about their journey. And in many cases, it was an accident that they got into operating. That was the case with me decades ago. Or somebody dragged them across the line, dragged them. And I think as a hobby subset, we have a great opportunity to drag people in because we know they're going to have a good time. I'm also struck by the fact that I'm a nobody, but here in the Bay Area, we're a pretty tight community. And there's several layouts I've never been invited to. Part of that is my objectionable personality, let's stipulate. But also, there are layout operators that prefer to have the same 12 guys every time. And what a shame and what a constraint for growth. So I just want everyone to think about or talk about what can we do to drag people in, literally drag people in, because you're going to change their whole experience with the hobby by the time the day is over. And what can we do to make sure our regular operating sessions are very easy and inclusive to people who are right on the cusp of coming? It's just something to think about that I hope we'll all talk about, because I think our growth is going to come from the people who are right in front of us already.
Paul, this is
Thoughts on that?
Doug with some ideas that I've been thinking about. I'm modeling World War II, and among the types of people that railroads were forced to recruit were women and teenagers or young people. And so in the DC area, at least, there have been a number of women who have been model railroaders in their own right, but sometimes they come along as wives and seem to pick up on the operations along with their husbands. I'm also planning on outreach to some of the railroad organizations like Amtrak, the Federal Railroad Administration, the Public Transportation Agency, as well as some of the military groups. And, you know, I don't know whether the retirement communities, you know, that are amenable to some kind of solicitation of operating sessions, but those are just some of the other ideas.
I can say for myself personally, I try to invite new operators on a consistent basis. This quarter, I actually have 3, and my operating session is 5 operators, but I have a pool of about 40 that I work through. And everyone, the way I do it is everybody bids what days they want. So, Paul, to your point, I get more of a mix based on availability and when people sign up for the sessions. And then to Doug's point, my wife started operating when we were dating, and part of that was probably to set the hook. But the second part is she's actually turned out to be a really good operator, and she operates on a number of the layouts here locally.
What about the NMRA has some special interest groups with women in model railroading. I don't know whether they still have the Teenage Model Railroad group. In its infancy with the Layout Design SIG, I tried to outreach to that group of younger model railroaders.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that anything involving teenagers is basically off limits at this point with the safety policies, unless an adult is there. I know that's come up a few times about all the youth protection type things that they're concerned with. I don't know if I think there's a youth model railroading. I think Tammer went away, but don't quote me.
Oh, we can have Bruce work the room at the OPSIG table, because I notice women in model railroading are going to be there as well.
So I guess
Well,
a question.
at the same time, my point wasn't necessarily women or teens. It's the old white guys right in front of us who are happy and deeply involved in the hobby. They just don't want to operate. And I think partly because they haven't done it and they haven't been handheld to do it. But these are the guys that you already know from the hobby. They just don't want to come play.
But I think the other question, Paul, I would ask is how many of the people who operate regularly are actually OPSIG members?
Yes, good question.
I mean, so, I think in addition to what Paul said about recruiting people that to come join operations, the low-hanging fruit is for everybody who operates to encourage your operators to join the OPSIG and support this side of the hobby. Say, hey, you enjoy it and join the OPSIG, support it in that way. Because I think that I wouldn't surprise me if 50% of the people who operate regularly on layouts are not OPSIG members. And so if layout owners encourage that of their regular operators, I think you'd probably have a much lower hanging fruit available from an OPSIG membership perspective.
Well, and to expand on Rick's point about making membership valuable, to the extent that we can facilitate connecting people to sessions that they may not have heard of outside of their OPSIG membership, that's a real value add. You may well, as an OPSIG member, learn about things in your general area that you didn't know about through word of mouth. And that's a pretty powerful value add.
Any other
I would-
thoughts
I
on
would-
this topic?
Well, I would say that usually I get like 24 people or so. It's been up to 30. And I think 2 or 3 are actually OPSIG members. In our little group up here near Warsaw, Indiana, people are saying, well, I already know about these layouts. And then there's a man building a layout in Elkhart that's 40 feet by 110 feet. And I tell people about it and they say no. And then when they go out and see it, I invite them over to see it. They're amazed. And I say, well, you know, this guy, his name is Tom Zurich. I think he just joined. I think layouts of that size and magnitude are actually hidden sometimes. People just don't know about them. And I think the best value out of OPSIG is you look at the membership list or whatever, or you see who's on the Zoom thing and you think, oh, well, that guy's, 3 blocks away from me and I didn't even know he was a model railroader. So I think the value we could attribute and we could advertise and push is, you may not be as much of a lone wolf model railroader as you think.
Yes.
So that might be one aspect. I know I'm operating on the 28th and I'm going to push people. We'll see how many. I hope I can get 10 people to join the OPSIG out of it. So I'll just challenge myself to that. And I think other people who operate large layouts should try that too. The next op session you have, I'm not going to say lean on them or force them to do anything, but present it to them and present the benefits.
How can we make it easier for people to join in terms of an application? I mean, if we're talking about an op session, could we have a stack of applications somewhere to make it easy?
Well, we don't do paper applications anymore. I mean, signing up takes 2 minutes to fill out the web form and get your payment sent. Yeah, we don't do paper applications though.
Maybe then we need a poster or some means of attracting attention.
If you made an 8.5 by 11 sheet up with join the OPSIG and had a QR code on it, that's a QR code with a link to the registration page. Owners could print that out and put it up in their layouts, and anyone that's there could just join with their phone.
And we're running up against the top of the hour, but I'm thinking maybe embossed name tags that you wear wherever you go that state that you're an OPSIG member.
Now, one other thing I noticed on the website where they have the member directory, occasionally I'll go look. So maybe when someone's new, is there any notification that, hey, 7 people joined this last month, and maybe people could just reach out to them? Now, maybe we're talking about pre-joining the OPSIG versus reaching out to someone. But if there's a new railroad or a new member that's joined, maybe we, the membership could find out, hey, there's 7 new folks, and find a way to communicate with them, maybe get them hooked up with some other layouts, etc. So
I think it's a good idea. I think the only thing we have to be careful with is making sure that people are opting in to be contacted.
Fair.
That would be the one. I think it's a good idea. I think there's some things we can do, but I think it's got to be. I would not want to spam every new member, or
maybe just someone just someone from the board, or if there's a membership person or someone that they just get some.
There you go.
I don't know, when you join, do you get any kind of a welcome or, hey, here's the resources you can look at kind of thing, or is it kind of left to them to kind of figure out what's out there?
Versus displaying a join OPSIG form.
Yeah.
I might also add, we're presuming these people are aware of the OPSIG. And I think we need to cross that bridge first. How many of the people that come operate are even aware of the OPSIG and the benefits of the OPSIG? So I think step one is to open up that avenue and let them know that the OPSIG does in fact exist.
So I used the form that I was showing at the last convention in Texas, and I'll have them available there at the OPSIG table in the SIG room. We get a lot of people that come into the SIG room that don't know anything about the SIGs at all. They just wander in at the convention, and that's our opportunity to cross the bridge, as it were. I also used them at a local train show, and we just handed them out to people there, and I'm not sure whether we got anybody, but Travers, like we were saying, like Eric was saying, on the form it just has the web page or the URL for the join. You put that in and click it up, and the form comes up, and 2 minutes later you can be a member. So it's pretty easy. Phil's suggestion, however, might be another way to do it is put a QR code on the form too, and that makes it easy. Good suggestions.
Okay. Well, if you provide some little like blow-in cards with the QR code, I'd be happy to drop them in any shipment I sell of anything that's obviously ops related, which is most of my product line. And perhaps some of their vendors might be willing to do so also.
Yeah, you can print a large number of business cards really cheap and put something on the front about the OPSIG and put on the back the address and a QR code and
Precisely.
just hand those out. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Suggestion.
Has there been any outreach to Walthers or some of the manufacturers, maybe even among the advertisers, to include some sort of mention or description of the OPSIG, in their product mailings, or as a postscript to their instructions or anything of that nature to alert more people to be affiliated with the OPSIG?
I don't know.
We have not asked our advertisers to do anything like that. I mean, the smaller advertisers, Walters obviously has a much larger advertising budget than we are consuming. So
Well,
no, we
yeah,
have not talked to them about putting in an insert or anything like that for us.
Or even mention the group in the brochures or their website, something like that.
I think we've heard a lot of really good ideas, and we have some opportunities. I think getting some contact cards or flyers that we can put out is a good bridge. Also making people aware of the OPSIG as we go forward. John Swanson, thanks, John. We could certainly set up a special meeting to dive into this deeper. I know the board's going to be talking about it. I'm looking to get a board meeting scheduled sometime in September so that we can discuss it, but we could certainly set up a meeting that we open up to the group. Eric, maybe one of the open forums, that would be a good topic for that, since those are already scheduled on a consistent basis.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. That'd be great. All right. Does anybody have anything else? Otherwise, we can wrap it at just over an hour, which was my initial goal, but I'm a little flexible on that. All right, silence is golden. Well, then I thank everybody for attending. Hopefully you found this valuable. I'm looking forward to this year. I've had a great experience in my last year working with Bruce, and hopefully working with the whole team this year, we'll also be able to do some things that are very valuable and beneficial to the OPSIG and growing our membership. So thanks everybody for attending. Have a good evening.